Hello, namaste. This is Timothy Halloran. I'm an astrologer from Savannah, Georgia. This is a weekly astrological forecast, this being for the 4th week of October 2015. Today is Tuesday, October 20th. And we've got the moon in Capricorn. She's been in Capricorn since Sunday and is going to remain there through tomorrow evening when she moves into Aquarius. And then this Friday, she moves into Pisces. We've got a magical Piscean weekend approaching. And then Sunday, the moon moves into Aries. What we're also feeling this week is the uplifting, optimistic, illuminating Jupiterian energy. So Mars just passed Jupiter over this last weekend, and this week we have Venus approaching Jupiter, conjoining on Friday. So this Jupiterian energy is all about illumination, optimism. We can do it. We're the ones for it. We're here for the job. And so we're really going to talk about harnessing this Jupiter energy in the best possible way. Of course, we also want to be aware of some of the deeper things that are happening simultaneously, because Jupiter, in its glowiness, in its upliftedness, we don't want to become so detached, so overinflated, that we don't harness the energy and really channel it in the most potent, delivering way. And this is a week where things can really happen that affect us in a deep way. And we can really make the best of it. We can really see the glass is half full this week when dealing with some rather profound healing happening. So we have this Virgoenian energy, and this is this stellium between Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. And this Virgoenian stellium is opposing right now Neptune, and next week is going to oppose Chiron, Neptune and Chiron being in Pisces. Now Neptune and Chiron in Pisces, Chiron is healing Pisces, being the collective unconsciousness. It is the entire human collective unconsciousness that requires to be healed at this time in order for us to restore divinity in ourselves, in our roles. And this is the challenge that is being initiated for Jupiter, Mars, and Venus in Virgo, which is, can we change our roles, our understanding of who we are, what we're doing, what we value, in order to create a spiritual healing in our daily lives. This Virgoenian energy is really about changing the way we function in a day-to-day, bodily, energetic way. It has to do with what time we're waking up, what we are eating, how we're using our energy, what activities we're giving our energy to. This is really what is being focused upon. And this is where we can see so much progress and forward evolution in a very positive, healthy way happening. We can harness this Mars-Jupiter energy, and we have since this last weekend, to be ambitious, to set forward, to be able to actually take on new stuff. Yes, but the stuff that we're taking on that's new. We don't want to be taking on extra work that is like burdening, sucking us dry. Now is the time to be integrating activities into our life that fill us up, that make us feel good, that make us feel healthy. And lo and behold, this is also the healing of the collective consciousness, the healing of the divine masculine and feminine principle, in order for us to feel healthily in our truest essence. Now, what does this mean? In this collective consciousness, there is a lot of prevalent unhealthy philosophy of how we should live our life, of how we should refer to ourselves, as how we should relate to others. So the big one that's going on this week is Mars opposite to Chiron on Friday, because this is the healing of the divine masculine. And this is why I say we need to focus on the glass being half full, because there are some rather deep, sometimes painful, sometimes feeling not so fun in games energy that is a part of the healing process, that is a part of the healing of the collective consciousness. We need to understand that. So when we go through experiences that make us feel like the energy is getting taken away from us, suddenly we feel like we're falling down again, suddenly we feel like we're being thrown back into the past, we understand that this is part of the healing process. Part of the healing process with Chiron is the weaving in between dimensions. Chiron travels in between the past and the future in order to bring heaven into hell. And this is unconditional love. This is healing, this is magic, this is medicine. And this is the challenge that is facing, that the divine masculine is facing at this time. Can we heal the old patterns, the old philosophies, the old way of doing things? And of course, because we're talking about Mars, we're talking about our desires, we're talking about our instincts. How can we change these? How can we evolve these? Or rather, what does the collective consciousness need to heal out of itself that is now happening in the divine masculine? And we see that there's actually quite a lot of things, many of them having to do with how men handle our physiological energy, our sexual urges, our desires. This is Mars. Mars is the instinctual, animalistic part of masculine, but this is evolving. Is this ultimately what Mars is? Is this the highest octave of Mars? Of course not. And yet, is this what we see in the collective consciousness? What do we see and feel in the collective consciousness? Is it the high octave Mars or the low octave Mars? Is it going off of more our instinctual sense gratifications and just wanting to appease this now to cover up and run away from some of the deeper things? Because that's the stuff that we're healing right now. It turns out that the divine masculine in the collective consciousness has been doing this for thousands of years. And this is because we have lost connection to our divinity, masculinity as a collective whole has. What this means is that men and not really men, the collective consciousness of masculinity has been disconnected from the source of his power, the source of his love, the source of his capability to be divine, to be strong, to be self-apparently illuminant, inspiring, wise, the way true masculinity should be. And the inspiration and the source of love for masculinity is femininity. It is the woman. And what has man experienced throughout the last several thousands of years is disconnection from femininity, disconnection from the woman. We've seen it prevalent in our religions, in our cultures, in our way of handling things, and we still do. This is the big one, the stuff we are healing out of the collective consciousness. Of course, the divine feminine is also being healed. Next week, we see Venus opposite to Chiron at the time of our full moon in Taurus. And the intention here is to get real security. And the real way to get insecurity is to get in touch with the source of our love, of our power, of our inspiration. This is love. And this for divine masculinity is being in touch and respecting and revering the divine feminine. And this is what is needed at this time in order to heal the collective consciousness. And men and women are experiencing this. We've all become conditioned. We are all inherently masculine and feminine energy. And furthermore, the more we evolve, this is the fascinating part, the more we evolve the divine masculine and the more we evolve the divine feminine, what starts to happen? At first, for example, the divine masculine is this instinctual animalistic urge. This is what I want, I'm going to get it. This is going to cure my pain and my suffering. And this is where men have been stuck for a long, long time. What has the divine masculine become addicted to that's not really tapping into its source and essence? A lot of this has to do with sexuality. A lot of this has to do with connection to our senses. A lot of this has to do with connection to our emotions. We've been disconnected from all this stuff for so long that we look for superficial, surface level appearing like those things. The way a porn star might appear like a soft, nurturing woman who's going to make us feel relaxed and good, but this is a surface level, plastic, synthetic version of what we actually want. What we actually want is the divine feminine, the connection, the intimacy, the being able to merge in with another, to being able to surrender to another, to throw ourselves at the feet of another. This is love. This is intimacy. This is the connection that the divine masculine has been missing. And so again, the reason I mention why, let's harness this Jupiterian energy that is bringing us realization, that is lifting our spirits, that is allowing us to see with clarity what needs to be done, the direction that we need to take. The reason why we must harness this energy and see the glass half full is because it is part of the healing experience to weave in and out of the dimensions, to go back and forth between the past and the future. This is how we heal the collective consciousness. We as men, for example, might be going into our own personal wounds that have afflicted us in this way, being disconnected from the divine feminine. And by the way, all of this is in service of restoring our inherent spiritual connection to God, to nature, to the universe. This is the means of doing this healing of the divine masculine and feminine. But we as men might be going into the past. We might see the old patterns that are so redundant, that are so ancient, that are so old, and we're just so sick of it. But we must keep going back until that masculinity evolves. And it's very important to point out how this happens because it cannot be forced. At first, at an elementary, preschool level, the divine masculine is this primal, animalistic grabbing for what it wants. Sex, desires, whatever, power, domination. And then we realize it evolves into itself. It becomes self-aware. Well, you know what? These things that I'm instantly grabbing after, there's a reason for it. What is this? There's something that I'm yearning for that is deeper. Mars desires go deeper. Mars desires turn into Pluto desires, which are the desires of the soul, which shape our entire experience. If we don't listen to our desires, we become disconnected from who we are, from our authenticity. And so a lot of people try to shortcut this by taking their desires and simply rejecting them. Oh, I'm going to be a good man. Well, I have the physiological urge for sex and I'm going to reject it. I'm going to become a monastic off in the temple, suppress this, and then what happens is it becomes distorted, it becomes suppressed. It does not go away when we try to do it that way. We have to respect and revere our desires, even the animalistic, primal, preschool ones that is just like, oh my God, can we please just move on? And yet we find these things in ourselves. And it's okay. It's part of the healing process. Just like it's going back in time when we may feel our energy levels fall. And we might, when your energy levels are really high, you feel blissed out, you feel ecstatic, you feel like you are one with the stars. When your energy levels is low, you feel disconnected, you feel empty, you feel lifeless, and you feel like the worm run over by the car. That's what it feels like. That is the difference between the past and the future. That is the healing that we are weaving in and out of. We cannot berate ourselves when we go through these experiences of falling down, because it is in fact a part of the process of healing ourselves and the collective consciousness. We do it in service to other people. We go back into our wounds, into our childhood for the collective consciousness. Why is this? Because what personally afflicted you probably was inspired by distortions in the collective consciousness. So when we heal our own personal afflictions, we learn how to heal these original distortions in the collective consciousness. This is what is happening at this time. This is leading up to a full moon in Taurus, while Venus and Mars and Jupiter oppose Chiron. This is fundamentally about getting real security. Real self-security. And this is the point with the whole evolution of masculinity. Is like, at first it's these primal, spontaneous desires that seem weird. We want to separate from them. I don't want to have animalistic desires. I don't want to have physical senses. Let's try to reject these things. Well, instead, we have to realize that these are parts of nature. We have to love all parts of nature, everything, anything, all things we must love if we are going to head in the direction of love. If we want love, that's how you do it. So we cannot reject these things. When we listen to them, and that doesn't mean you get dragged away by them and you go crazy bonkers. When we listen to them and we cradle the old wound and we cradle the old child and we cradle the primal, the past, what happens is we understand there is a greater story to it. It is connected to deeper, vaster things. It is, in fact, also divine. But we've just been judging the tip of the iceberg. Let's take these Mars desires and bring them into our Pluto desires, which are our soul's desires. And this is the whole point. The reason why you have to heal yourself in this way is because if you don't, your Pluto soul desires control you. Everybody runs around like they are so clean and pure and they are completely controlled by stuff that they are avoiding. This is why we have to pay respect to our desires and tune into these deeper urges. And when we do, we see that they are in fact divine. And then, it's like the instinctual, animalistic Aries nature transforms into the noble and creative, beautiful Leonian nature that wants to share love and open up, that transforms into the Sagittarian wise elder who sees the universe, who sees universal law. This is the potential of divine masculinity. But what also happens along the way, it's very fascinating, is it's as though the masculine, as it evolves, as it balances itself out, it becomes more androgynous. And it's less defined the way we have culturally defined man. The way we have culturally defined man is the big burly asshole with the beard, Paul Onion, who's out there raping women, the nymphs, etc. This form of God has made itself in practically every religion throughout human history for quite a long time. This is a cultural concept of masculinity. This is not an accurate concept of divine masculinity. Yet how many of us as men or how many of us as women expect that to be what masculinity is? Similarly, we have femininity, which, being contrasted to that masculine, has just taken the back seat and kind of applauded the hero of the man. Oh yeah, you're wise, you're awesome, you do everything. And so we have Juno in Libra, and we have Mercury coming up to Juno in Libra this Friday. This stuff is happening this weekend, and there's some profound conversations that we can really be talking about some of this deeper stuff. And Juno, who was Jupiter's wife, this submissive back seat in the kitchen. Yeah, you can just rape as many women as you want, and I guess I'll just be your wife because that's what is expected for the good wife to do. Well, now Juno is in Libra and she wants equality. Yeah. And in Libra we also see the essence of Pallas Athena, who is this warrior goddess who wants equality, who wants balance, who wants actual fairness. And she's androgynous. She's an extremely evolved, like the, Akashic records of everything, wisdom. And simultaneously, she is compassionate, feminine love directed at healing and restoring equality and balance. This is a perfect balance and integration of the divine feminine and divine masculine, and yet she is Pallas Athena. She's a goddess. This is evolved femininity. And masculinity also becomes more androgynous, more balanced, more beautiful, more whole as it evolves. So this is all the stuff that's going on this week. We've got Sun square to Ceres, Juno square to Pluto. We need to have these conversations with our partnerships. We need to talk about how we're not getting security, how we might not be getting nurturance sometimes. And this is the opportunity to have the discussions, have the realizations, and get there. Next Tuesday, we have a full moon in Taurus. This is about self-security. This is about the kingdom of heaven is within you. This is about the divine feminine and divine masculine is within you. So as we evolve ourselves and as we heal our wounds, we head towards that. We head towards that kingdom, that perfection, that beauty, that harmony, that balance. We still have the moon's node completing its nearly year-and-a-half transit of Libra happening through the next month. We've got Juno in Libra, we've got Mercury conjunct Juno in Libra. Let's find this balance. Let's find this beauty. Let's find this harmony. And let's make this love happen on this earth. Let's make it a reality. In this endeavor, I'm wishing you all the best. Namaste.